5 million people have fled Wuhan at the height of the epidemic, and now every major city in China is experiencing an outbreak. It's a nightmare scenario, and this is just the beginning of the crisis. And right now people are looking at the news, and it's just bad news across the board for the most part. The mainstream media is trying to get people down or something. Why can't they report some happy news, ladies and gentlemen? Instead, people are just dropping dead in broad daylight. People are walking around in spacesuits. There's a killer virus in their town. This is their new world now, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, it's in many towns, in just about every city out there. And we've got quite a few maps just to kind of put this into perspective for you. But literally every major city right now is at the beginning of a major outbreak, and they've just locked everything down. And not only is the government, setting up roadblocks, but people in the villages are blocking the roads and they're quarantining themselves, ladies and gentlemen. Undoubtedly, the video guys on vacation. How's everybody doing out there? Terrible news with Kobe Bryant. We're going to be looking at that, what happened, and the like. Very sad situation right now. It's nothing but bad news for the West Coast, and the West Coast is probably going to get hit the worst. Right now there's 3 cases in America, 2 on the West Coast and 1 in Chicago, which theoretically spells bad news. And we won't theoretically be in the clear for nearly another 30 days. This virus is kind of like hot embers blowing in the wind, and when it hits the right pool of people, then it becomes like a forest fire in that town, and just embers are flying everywhere. But the videos that we're getting from over there are like Resident Evil, like the movie I Am Legend, to say the least. And now all of the information has been cut off. There's absolutely nothing coming through from normal people in there. And what has come through in the past couple days has pretty much been cries for help. Hundreds of thousands of people infected, not enough supplies, everything's breaking down. And people are talking about how, just to get online to the American internet, they have to go through proxies, and it looks like all of that has been shut down. And there's really no new information other than what we can see, which is that there's a major outbreak happening in every town out there, ladies and gentlemen. And it's spinning off, spiraling out of control. And we're getting new cases in Europe right now, as well as the Middle East. This thing is just showing up everywhere. And this is just really kind of like the beginning of the show. And you have to wonder, did this all come from the same lab, or are they just spraying it randomly out there? How would you know? How would you know if there's multiple sources? This is pretty much, the New World Order telling everybody to quit asking questions, isn't it? Or is it one of the biblical plagues in the book of Revelation? Is this the first one? And so you just have to wonder what's going on. And we'll have to see, who gets hit the hardest here, and what can we say about this in a spiritual context. Now, this probably isn't the time to be asking those kind of questions, or maybe it is. Maybe it's exactly at this kind of point in human history that we should be asking the questions: how did we get here? What happened? How did we go from the happy days to Leave It to Beaver, the golden era, if you will, to what is going on out there today? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Especially ever since 9/11. Why is it that all the people on TV look like demons out there, product placing the demonic 24/7? Why is that? Where's the video guy? We're trying to get into contact with the video guy, but it's very difficult to hack the matrix these days. Not even people on the western side of the wall, if you will, are able to successfully broadcast. It's very difficult these days. We were having some technical issues. They wanted everything, all the credentials re-entered and the like. It literally is hacking the matrix. Now, during this series, during this crisis, we've also talked about the problem with these death hours, which is attacking the immune system. I mean, there's been scientific research for decades on the effects of EMF and white blood cells, T cells, the immune system at large, and it's fairly conclusive that this weakens your immune system and makes you more susceptible to things like the flu and the common cold. And, that's another angle of the story. They're saying this flu season is going to be worse than anything they've seen this decade. And 2 years ago, there was like a monster death toll just from the flu. 80,000 people. In the 90s, it was like 10,000, 12,000 people. And now it's like 80,000 people. Like, the numbers have jumped significantly. And with the 5G, it's only going to get worse. Of course, that's not the only virus we've been covering. We've been covering the DEV 666 virus, the demonic virus, ladies and gentlemen, that is basically taking over the world. It looks like, everybody on TV is exhibiting demonic morphology, if you will. Pay attention to it. More and more people are affirming that they're seeing this, in fact, in their communities, and we guarantee you'll be seeing this in your communities now that you know what to look for. DEV 666 virus, it's, body snatching people. It's like taking over their souls. And, all of this technology, is obviously part of the beast system. They're just, waiting to plug you into the matrix, get your brain chip, thanks to Elon Musk. And, that's like another form of body snatching, if you will. Ladies and gentlemen, no escaping these death towers. And we've got readings from Lake Tahoe that we've displayed in the video archives where it's worse than a microwave oven, quite literally. You want to check that out for yourself. Get a meter while you still can out there. And our advice right now would be to start preparing. I mean, this is gearing up to be a major outbreak. Even though they're locking everything down like it escaped from a lab. And that truly should tell you everything you need to know. Nobody's ever seen this kind of, countermeasures put in place. I mean, they shut down Disneyland, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, they shut down, all the air travel, all the roads, everything. People are to, basically shelter in place. And you can't imagine, this story starting in, Des Moines or something like that. And then all of a sudden they're shutting down the entire state of Iowa. And then all of a sudden every major city in America is contaminated. Obviously, the video guy is having some fun. It's not easy putting on a broadcast out there, ladies and gentlemen. Support our research, support our cause. Check us out at patreon.com/STF News. We're listener supported, by the way. And in any case, if you're just joining us, the Wuhan supervirus has infected every major city in China. It's the beginning of a major, major epidemic. When they say it's accelerating, strap on, fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. And, right now people are kind of thinking about something else because of the horrible news out there with Kobe Bryant. And you just have to wonder, what really happened there. And I'm sure people will be investigating and we'll be hearing more about that. But you should also be paying attention to these death towers. It's like the new fluoride, the new pesticide. They're spraying you like bugs out there, and they're irradiating you. They've turned the cities into the FEMA camp. You probably saw the videos after 9/11 and laughed. You're like, the FEMA camps, never going to happen. Well, they brought that shit to you, right? And here's your geofence. And these things will change the way you think. They'll zap you, and there's nobody, there's nowhere you can go. No one you can call. You know what I mean? And you'll get the point. You'll understand. If the dog understands, you'll understand out there, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, we're getting reports of these death towers being taken down by concerned citizens. Of course, everybody should be protesting at their city council, to say the least. What else can we say about the Wuhan supervirus? We've talked a lot about this the past couple days. We've talked about the short incubation period. We've talked about virus migration reservoirs and the like. And this is looking real bad, ladies and gentlemen. Much worse than Ebola. Ebola was nothing compared to this. And while it's not the same kind of disease, I mean, we're seeing some freaky video here where people are just dropping dead. Bodies are piling up on the streets. It's kind of like the plague. Literally, I mean, this isn't an isolated video. And, they're basically treating the situation like it escaped from a lab, and now there's a total blackout, total shutdown of information. I don't know what you think about that out there, but if this is a psyop, this is the best one we've seen yet, and we've covered them all. So look, I mean, either this is the real thing, or they're preparing for something. But I think everybody should really kind of pay attention to this. We're seeing a lot of refugees fly in everywhere, and nobody's stopping them. They're giving them like a little questionnaire. If you feel bad, just give us a call, wink, wink, kind of thing. Not reassuring. It's almost like they want it to spread. And I think a lot of people out there want it to spread. I think everybody out there wants to get a mask on, because that'll make things like even more difficult. You thought it was tough picking up, a girlfriend now, or a boyfriend, depending on, if you're a lady out there. Certainly not talking to the Sodom and Gomorrah crowd, but you thought it was tough now. Imagine how tough it's going to be if you got to wear a spacesuit just to go to work or wherever. I mean, you're never going to meet somebody. You're just going to be sitting at home, And again, this video is pretty shocking. I mean, if this is just the flu, watch out. But even the flu is much worse now. Much, much worse. I'm not sure how many people are paying attention just to the flu. But it's all much worse. And our theory is based on, the scientific research, which usually pans out to be, on target. And that's that EMF weakens the immune system, and therefore people have become more susceptible to the common cold, the flu. Forget the flu shot, take down these death towers. I mean, if they really wanted to stop disease, they would take these things down, right? Instead, they want to park one, right outside your bedroom. All right, how low can you go? Ladies and gentlemen, how much more obvious can they make it that they're out to get you? They're releasing, super viruses, and they're like, it just came out of the chickens. Now, some viruses do migrate with the birds. It's actually kind of interesting. But, as far as this thing is concerned, a lot of people are suspecting the weapons lab that's in town. And anytime there's a weapons lab next to an outbreak, I mean, you should suspect the weapons lab first, and not the market. But obviously over there, they're never going to be able to say, what's actually going on. And you can't really blame them, I mean, that's just the way it is over there. But I think we should be a little concerned right now. And, we're looking at reports from all around the world, and you're just seeing like plane loads of people from over there, arrive, and they're like, oh, I'm saved, and they all got the masks on. It's like, but 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000 of them are going to be, super spreaders. And, you're not going to see a lot of cases in the first wave. Say the incubation period is every 5 days. You can expect a wave, every 5 days. It's going to build up and crescendo into like a tidal wave. And that's when you'll start seeing cases, actually show up to the hospital, and deaths and the like. But, right now there's so many flu cases, record number of flu, that many people will think that they just have the flu, and not even know that they're passing on the coronavirus, and the like. And what makes, this perhaps even more deadly is the fact that, we're going to be talking about a lot of secondary infections at this time of year. So, I mean, it's possible for you to catch the coronavirus plus, the flu A or flu B virus, you know what I mean? As well as bacteria and the like. And so this makes like the whole situation like worst case scenario, like right at the peak of flu season, where it's just going to be the most transmissible, right at like the lunar New Year over there, and right in a major transportation hub. I mean, I don't think Stephen King could have wrote a better script than this. And if this is a dry run, then watch out, because you can't you don't want to know what they're going to cook up next. But by looking at these death towers, you don't really have to stretch your imagination too far. I mean, these things look diabolical, ladies and gentlemen. And if you pay attention to the television, I mean, it is 24/7 product placement for the dark side. You know, good is evil, evil is good. You know, full-blown Sodom and Gomorrah, New Babylon. And so, you know, these people have got it coming, unfortunately, especially on the West Coast. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near the West Coast. You know, if the plague is going to hit, it's going to hit over there first. And so there you go. I mean, that's really kind of like the forecast on the horizon. And it's following, you know, a very similar pattern to SARS. We're seeing cases in Canada right now, Toronto, if you will. And that was a real big SARS hotspot back in 2003. Of course, this is very similar to SARS. And, you know, we're hearing a lot of rumors about, you know, Canadian spies getting, you know, this SARS virus and then weaponizing it. But, you know, they had the SARS virus over there. They didn't need to import another strain. And what they did import was like Ebola and perhaps something else. It wasn't the SARS virus. And, you know, they had their own copy. If they wanted to weaponize it, they could have done that. And you know, if it escaped their lab, then, you know, what would you expect? You would expect exactly what you're seeing now. Nobody's ever seen any kind of like novel virus, you know, end up like this. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's ever seen any country react to an outbreak like this. Everything's shut down. The streets, I mean, you know, airports, buses, they're building trenches, everything's cut off, the internet's cut off. I mean, this is like a major fucking event. You know what I mean? If you put this in the context, if this was happening in America, I mean, people would be flipping out, to say the least. And, you know, we're getting some major interference from the Matrix here. They just do not want you to hear anything. It's like full-blown censorship. Things are looking really bad across the board. And you just have to wonder, you know, where's this administration right now? You know, ladies and gentlemen, where are they right now? What are they doing? You know, why haven't they locked up Hillary? What's up with these death towers and the like? And, you know, why haven't they shut down air traffic coming from that part of the world? That would, you know, probably be, you know, a smart thing to do. You're seeing every city over there infected now, just at the beginning of a major outbreak. Every single one. 5 million people escaped Wuhan at the height of the epidemic, before the lockdown, you know, for the, you know, Lunar New Year. And so this thing is way, you know, advanced. It's not like, you know, an outbreak starting in a village in Africa, working its way to an African capital. I mean, this is like, you know, the transportation hub, one of the major transportation hubs, like Chicago O'Hare of China, and all of a sudden, you know, people have fled like it's Resident Evil, and now they're coming here, right? And so you just have to wonder, you know, what are they doing? Well, they're watching, they're screening, you know what I mean? But we're getting reports that people are shedding this virus, even if they're asymptomatic and even without a temperature. Yeah, the whole video thing is just like totally shut down, ladies and gentlemen. Be lucky to see anything but a map right now. The Matrix is hacking us very hard, hacking back, and you know, they just don't want people talking about this kind of thing. You guys out there are the resistance. You know, this is a test of Wi-Fi going through the tinfoil, what blocks the radio. Check out our video archives. We've got a ton of stuff in there, all sorts of tests on EMF shielding, EMF meters, what these death towers are really about. And you should look into the beam forming. I mean, these things are going to target you. And if they've weaponized, you know, Congress and the justice system and the media and the social media and the like, you know, what makes you think they're not going to weaponize these death towers against conservatives and Christians out there? Why would these death towers be any different than everything else in the system? And these are a clear and present danger to people, you know, right now. And I think that's something that everybody should consider. Let's see if we can boot up some of these videos. Again, bodies are just piling up on the streets over there, and it's a full media blackout. Nobody really knows the full scale of the epidemic right now, except for the people over there. And communications have shut down. From the official communications and the maps that we can see, every major city now is impacted. I mean, this is a big change. And every city right now has about, anywhere from 100 to 1,000 cases. And so this is just the beginning of the big, boom in terms of this epidemic. And that's exactly what this is. Now, how fast will it cross, the Atlantic and the Pacific, and the like, is anybody's guess. But there's a strong chance that this will always kind of stay in the viral pool, and if it doesn't strike now, it can re-emerge, soon after, and it'll just kind of cruise along the tropics and the like. It'll be there for a while because it's going to start heading into other countries connected to China, and so this isn't going anywhere. But this isn't the only virus that's circulating out there, ladies and gentlemen. We've been doing quite a few reports on this DEV666 virus. That's what we're calling it. We've named it because we're the first ones really doing authentic reports on it. But it's like toxoplasmosis, where it takes over the victim's mind. It's a parasite feeding off of people in more ways than one. And it basically takes over, and there are signs and symptoms. The entire establishment has been co-opted by this virus, and that includes the media, the government, the bureaucracies, the entire establishment. And they use filters to try and hide, their morphology, but we've removed their filters so that you can see them for what they are. And the demons walk amongst with us, ladies and gentlemen. Start paying attention to people's foreheads. If you start seeing what looks like devil horns there, quite literally, watch out. You're dealing with the dark matrix, and it's worse than you can possibly imagine. It's a very extensive, serious outbreak, and most people have seen something like it. Most people have seen glitches in the matrix. You just can't deny everything that's going on out there, from the death towers, the GMOs, the pesticides, the vaccines. I mean, not that long ago, nobody, really ever heard of autism. Now everybody knows a kid that's autistic. Something is going on, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. Why? Because we've let the serial killers go. And this administration was supposed to, change all of that, bring this new world order down, and so far, they haven't done it. Instead, they're just pretending to be under siege, and they just can't do anything, and their hands are tied and whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if you were president, would you be rolling out death towers, letting Hillary go, locking up Assange and the like? And why aren't they stopping commercial traffic coming into this country? Why aren't they taking back our school system, which has been weaponized to, basically brainwash children and sexualize them? Why aren't they taking back the schools is the question. And, we obviously need a Christian homeland, a Christian state. Just like the Jews have a state of their own, Christians need a state of their own. I mean, let's pick a state. What state should it be, ladies and gentlemen? And, K through 12, Christian education, no Hollywood on TV, none of this 6 o'clock news on Channel 6, if you know what I mean, right? That's why it's the DEV666 virus. Mark of the beast, pages of the Bible playing out before your very eyes. I mean, these demons could be looking like, something else, right? They could look like Romulans or gremlins or something, reptiles, but no, they look like the devil, quite literally, and they want everybody to get the mark of the beast. Sign up today for the brain chip and the like. I mean, they've already put the mark of the beast on everything you buy, every UPC code. I mean, all this stuff. You woke up, remember, right? And this is what you're waking up to, the pages of the Bible playing out before your very eyes. And you don't have to wonder too hard, as far as, where catastrophe hits. And, Sodom and Gomorrah is really at the epicenter of the misery of the world right now, still today. And that's, a metaphor for, the bigger picture here. But we're literally dealing with a legion of demons, and they're in control of everything, including these labs and the like. So there's no telling who actually pushed the button, but you can bet that the dark side is behind this. And this is this isn't a joke. This is an attack by the New World Order, by this demonic New World Order on humanity. I mean, they're anti-life, they're anti-creation, and they're anti-Christian. They're burning down churches, ladies and gentlemen. And, they're trying to ban the Bible in California. And, all these people on TV basically got the devil horns telling you that evil is good and good is evil. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. This is what's going on. They're poisoning everything because they're anti-life. They're anti-creation. All right. And so, no surprise they're unleashing a super virus out there. And the question is, how bad will it be? I think people should start demanding that the airports are shut down, and that perhaps we start taking this a little more seriously. I mean, every city over there is on fire right now, is raging with an epidemic, and it's only going to get much worse. And of course, there's a total blackout of information. What we do know is that 5 million people from Wuhan escaped at the height of the epidemic. And we could go through the timeline, first case, when a bunch of cases started coming through and the like, but they made it out at the height when, all the clinical studies started showing up, between the 29th of December and when they started locking things down, what was it, like the, 21st, 22nd. And so that was like 2 or 3 weeks where people were fleeing at the height of an epidemic, and now it's in every major city, and now it's showing up all over the world. And it's flu season, and some of the people will exhibit the severe symptoms and some won't. I think that we should say something about personal survival skills in an epidemic kind of situation like this. If you remember anything, beyond wash your hands and wear a mask or whatever, is that virus load is everything in this kind of situation. And the more you're exposed, the worse it is. So you can get by with like mild symptoms if you have a mild exposure. But if you get a severe exposure and you're, overtired and, you're not getting a lot of sunlight like in the wintertime, watch out. And, the SARS thing was bad, and this thing is supposed to be, more contagious than that. And these death towers aren't helping. And, we talked about that. The numbers keep going up as far as people killed just from the flu, and that's linked to these death towers, guaranteed, ladies and gentlemen. And, when you got weapons labs releasing things on top of that, that's bad news. And of course, they're just inviting everybody in. Come on in, come on in. I mean, we've seen the videos in the news, like, just plane loads of people nonstop coming in from over there, just regular traffic. And they're just handed like a little leaflet, like, give us a call if you feel, if you feel like it's necessary. And, now the studies say that people are shedding the virus before they get symptoms. So in theory, this is like, the perfect storm. Will it end up like that, or will it end up like Ebola? Only the flat earthers really know. No, I'm just kidding out there. The moon is flat, bitches. You know that, right? Everybody knows that. How's everybody doing out there? I want to give a big shout out to everybody in the audience, and tell us what you think right now. Hi, Aaron, Matthew, Tony, Tina Smith. Where are you? Ben Parker, Tony Smith, Living, Purgatory, Sam, what you doing? Hugh, Lady D, Summer, Renee. I appreciate everybody, finding our broadcast. We keep getting censored. How many pages have been bounced? Nobody knows. I quit counting after 10. But they've done this to a ton of people out there. I mean, a ton of people. And, that's just part of the crime. And, they do that because silence is consent. And if nobody can hear you scream, then they can just do whatever they want. It's like the situation right now in China. I mean, you can't hear these people scream anymore. You don't know what's going on. But this is the real picture right now. It's like, the whole country's on fire with this virus. And it's a total blackout, ladies and gentlemen. If you're joining us late, be sure to check this video out on Replay on Demand. Feel free to like and share and mirror our content. Check out our website, stfnreport.com. We update that regularly throughout the day. A lot of interesting stories over there. And, depending on where you're watching, this show, that'll get you the links to check out the live show on ScrewTube. And if you're checking us out on Facebook, that's STFN Reloaded, because it's like the Matrix Reloaded over and over again. And, we've become professionals at starting from zero over here, ladies and gentlemen. Free speech, just can't beat it these days. So we'll leave it there for this broadcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, the video guy. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.